Hey there. Thanks for tuning in. I'm on lichess.org trying to get to 1800 Blitz. I'm in the mid 1700s right now. I've lost a couple games in a row. The last game I got flagged. I tried to sack a piece for an attack, but I couldn't figure out the tactics in 5 minutes, which is how a lot of my games end, actually. So let's see if we can get a game here. Running out of espresso. Is there a game I can seek? I like 5-0. Alright, here we go. Jose Piamba, 32. Got white again. Second or third time in a row, I think. Okay. Let's get the bishop outside of the pawn chain. I'm not sure if I'm going to play a London type thing yet, or if I'm going to push c4 in one move. London being c3. Let's go for it. We're playing some sort of triangle system. Earlier I played a 2000 in this exact position, and I played knight here, and that seemed to work out pretty well. My instinct is to play bishop back, but I don't have some bishop back, and I can recapture with the pawn. You know what? Let's do that. I haven't had much luck with this sort of setup, but I know that it's a fine thing to do, so that's good. The point is that I've got pressure on h7. So let's get a bishop pointing to h7. Maybe I can hold off castling for a little bit. If he takes, I'll recapture. Where do I want the knight? c3, d2. I played c4 so I could put the knight on c3. So let's do that. Knight e5 at some point, maybe. Maybe I'll just end up castling on the king side and not making use of this a file. So what is this? Queen's going to come out here, maybe? Not seeing anything tricky. Let's play queen e2. Maybe I can get in e4. I don't know if it's the break I want to get in, but I'm not sure I have any sort of other plan. Queen here. Okay, so you're going to play e5. I can't let you push e4 because that would be a fork, so let's take. Knight takes, queen takes, pawn takes. Doesn't look that great to me. But I'm not really sure where else to go with this. So queen takes now. Do I have f4? This pawn would be very weak if I played f4. Reconnecting. Network error. This is not a good sign. I mean, you're going to play queen takes here, so what am I going to play? Ooh. No, I wish I had that move, but I don't. If I could get rid of this knight, I would. Let's play pawn takes. And if knight here... Can I interpose this? I think that might be working. Maybe I can use this h-file. If you play something like g4, or rather g5, maybe that's adequate. Maybe I can take the knight and play f4. My king is in the center. That's a fact. So I think this is okay. You're not threatening bishop here, so I think I can just take this, right? Oh, this pawn, huh? I missed that. So let's throw in this check. I'm trying to think of a clever way. Oh, sirens, come on. I'm trying to think of a clever way I can defend. Oh, what am I talking about? My queen is covering it. Nice. That wasn't even a threat. That is good. Good. Let's take this pawn now. I think that's okay. Now you don't have bishop or anything, though I suppose you would have played that last turn. Let's retreat the rook to a dark square. Now I have to worry about this A pawn. Even though I've won a pawn, my king's in the center. Ugh. Alright, I think this is okay. If you take this pawn... Not sure what I would do, actually. I think that's probably a good move. Let's trade things off. I'm only up a pawn, but I think it's probably in my best interest to trade things off. Thusly. Well now bishop takes queen takes B. Looks bad for me. Looks bad for me. I think Jose should play bishop takes bishop. I don't have any clever in-between moves to save me there. He's got 3 pawns on this side. I've got 4. Ooh, this is interesting. So now I can trade. And I believe I can defend all of my pawns. Though that seems really passive. Is there a better way to go about doing this? Maybe not. Minute and a half. Time. Time. This is a pawn that you're threatening, and you're threatening mate here, right? If I move my queen. Well, actually not mate. But let's try to defend it like this. Queen trade here. Queen trade here. Queen here. Oh. Killing me, Jose. Now I forced a queen trade. Now this is a king and pawn endgame that I'm not so happy with. I'm going to try to take opposition like this, which means I'm 1 square away from the king. Push the king back. Opposition. Ooh, gotta think fast here. Let's just shut that down. Maybe I can get my king here and push this myself. I guess this might be a game of how many waiting moves do you have? Opposition. Take. Check. Now I have this waiting move, and I think black is in Zug's Wang, which means they don't have a good move. No, I'm not going to take your draw. I think I have a chance at winning this. Yeah. There, take. At the very least, I can save a little time just by thinking here. Alright, let's do it. I don't want to draw, but this is unclear to me. That was probably a mistake, actually. Who will queen first? Actually, maybe me. Yeah. So let's see if I can do something with this advantage. Like queen here is my first thought, just stop him. I got 42 seconds. I should be able to blitz this out. Bring the king closer. I think this is okay. If you push this pawn, I win this pawn, and that pawn is pinned. At the very, very least, I definitely have a draw. Yeah, take this. Your pawn is pinned. Pawn is still pinned. Now, this is an endgame that I've studied at some point. I think the idea is you force the king in front of the pawn. And once you force the king in front of the pawn, then you have a free move to bring your king closer. Like this. And I got to make sure you don't stalemate. Force the king in front of the pawn. Force the king in front of the pawn. 26 seconds. Force the king in front of the pawn. It's probably a better way to do that. Maybe this check is better. This is not... Okay, now the king is forced in front of the pawn. But I need to be careful to not stalemate him. Alright, this is looking good. 15 seconds. Yeah. Ooh. Eked out a clutch endgame victory. Queen and king versus pawn. I'm sure I did not do that correctly, but it's an easy one to lose, or to draw when you have the queen. So that took some knowledge. Let's say good game. Oh, my opponent's already left. Thank you, Jose, from I don't know where. All right, let's have a quick look at this game. I'm feeling good. I won. This is probably my last recording of the day. You got to end on a good note. Okay, so Horwitz Defense. Yeah, so this is some variation of the Queen's Gambit Decline. Looks like a semi-Slav. I don't have much luck generally when the bishop goes back like this, but the idea is try to find some way to use this H-file, but beware that your king might end up in the center. I'm feeling pretty solid here. White is definitely not worse. This move... So the point is I had to react in some way because if black gets in e4, it's this fork, and that's not good. And the two ways I could react, or there's several. I could retreat the bishop, but then they play e4 anyway, and I'm all shut down. Take with the knight, which is just an even trade. I think that's how it ended up, but I took with the pawn first. Yeah, this is the kind of position that I always think, well, all these moves are equal, but then the action tells me otherwise. But all right, so I saw that we were equal at least here, and apparently this is a drawing line. I'm just clearing out everything. So this h5 move, yeah, I was worried about g5. I only saw g5 after I moved the rook. Knight takes, queen takes, bishop c4, threatening this pawn. They can insert a check. Oh, this is looking gross for my king. And I guess the idea is my rook sort of just ends up stuck a little bit. This g5 really shuts down my rook, so I was fortunate that my opponent missed that. But how did the game continued with him moving his queen, which means I win a pawn. So I'm happy here. I guess it was okay to throw in this check because they didn't have any like c6 type move, which would both block the check and defend this pawn that I'm about to win. So since that's off the table, this check is okay to insert. Rook on the dark square. I have to worry about my queen is lined up with my king, and maybe there's some sort of like pinning this pawn here, so like queen here, and then rook takes. I wouldn't be able to take back. Actually, I guess I would, but that was just something that was on my mind. Queen is lined up with the king. Yeah, I thought about bishop takes A. And when they play a6, I have queen d3. So I'm just saying, queen d3, huh? And if you take my bishop, do I have this move? Take. No, I don't have that move. That doesn't work. So what's the answer if you take my bishop here after I play queen d3? Is this a check that I have? Oh, obviously. So by putting here, if I had played queen d3, I'm really trying to own the d file. And I have now 3 guys attacking this rook that's only defended twice. And so if he plays rook takes, I guess I can insert a check, which looks powerful. Okay. So instead of reacting, I don't know, that seems... Instead of reacting to this bishop being under attack, I could have interposed this move, threatening something more valuable than the bishop. But I don't know that I would have seen that maybe in a long time control game, but I think that might be out of my reach. All right, so my opponent, what happened to the game? I traded. I'm still up a pawn, and the ancient agrees. Yeah, I thought, doesn't this win a pawn for them? I can follow up with this. And I guess this is what I was worried might be mate, but it's not mate, because I have this square to run to. And I guess I escape. Yeah, but that's real sharp. Real sharp, so I stayed away from that. Just trade it off and think, I've got decent king and pawn endgame skills. I'm up a pawn, though these 4 don't really look that much better than these 3. Defend a pawn, let's see, let's just continue it out. Yeah, so I do drop this pawn. I played this quickly, just thinking queen trade, queen trade, queen trade. But that drops this pawn. This move would have been stronger. But okay, even dropping the pawn, I think I played this okay. This is a king and pawn endgame study, which I would imagine is probably a draw. Yeah, it's got to be very symmetrical. But this is an interesting idea. It might be tempting to play this king move, just like more towards the center, but they can get the opposition, meaning they're 2 squares away. And in general, in these king and pawn endgames, this is probably a specific case, but just in general, having the opposition is an important thing. So I tried to stay an odd number of squares away, so if the king goes here, I can go here and get opposition. And if the king goes here, I can go here and get opposition. But I'm not sure how important that ended up being. Yeah, because keeping opposition, keeping opposition. Yeah, so the engine thinks this is a draw. Yeah, it doesn't like this move. I didn't like this move either. So they needed to play, yeah, king d4 gets the opposition here. That's interesting, that this one move, if you go here, you lose. If you go here, you win. Haha, this is a good one. This moment right here. Let's take a screenshot of this. Turn off the arrows, come on. Well, whatever. This is a winning move, this is a losing move. And my opponent played the losing move. Because it allows me to queen my pawn before he can eat up my pawns and queen it. Let's see how the winning move would have gone. So now, let's see, I try to win this pawn. Oh, you come over here. And you tell me, hey, if you get close enough to win this pawn, I'm going to win this pawn. And if you push this, I'm going to take. And my king is closer to these. That's interesting. So, that's the principle of 2 weaknesses, I guess. With this move, you're saying, I'm staying close enough to here to keep you from winning this pawn and being able to push this at the same time. And I'm also staying close enough to here to try to eat these pawns up. But my opponent in the game instead played c4, which is saying, I'm putting all my eggs in this basket rather than putting half my eggs in this basket and half my eggs in this basket. And the real question is, how many arrows can I draw? That's the combinatorics problem for you. Okay. Yeah, so I managed to queen first. And now it's mate in 14. Which I'm sure I seem to do a reasonable job of. I don't ever... Ooh. This is the problem. b3. Queen b3, that was a problem. Because you can queen. Ah, I did blow it. I was just fortunate that my opponent didn't see it. So instead, I needed to play this check. King here. And then once the king steps in front of his pawn, I have a free move to get my king closer. I definitely would have seen that over the board. Not with the amount of time left. But that's okay. Yeah. King steps into the pawn, king comes closer. And my opponent resigns here because his only move is this, which is followed by mate in 2. I'll take it though. So that puts me at what? What's my rating? 1745. Yeah. This 1800 bar is looming. And I think it's reasonable that I can get there. I don't think I'm that much better than 1800 right now, but I think if I keep sticking with it, I've got hopes. Cool. Well, thanks for tuning in. I hope you liked this video. I will